We're now joined by another of our correspondents in Cairo, Ben Knight. And Ben, I understand that it's too dangerous for you to leave your hotel, but what are you hearing about the situation in the square right now?
Well, Ali, it's too dangerous for pretty much any journalist to leave any kind of building at the moment. We really did see, obviously, a shift in mood here yesterday, and the foreign media have been targeted. This is really reminiscent of what we experienced in Iran in June 2009 after the presidential election there, where the foreign media was starting to be blamed for the uprising. We certainly experienced that ourselves yesterday, as you can see. But it's the protesters inside the square who have pushed back the pro-Mubarak supporters quite a distance, and they have pilfered a nearby building site to set up a barricade. So they've effectively besieged themselves inside the square at the moment. Now, the streets are reasonably quiet. There have been a few scuffles after a night of gunfire. We've heard that 4 people have been killed and up to 1,000 injured. So far quiet, but it's very, very tense, and you do get the feeling that today could be the day that this ends one way or another. Now, the remarkable thing is that since this began about 20 hours ago, nothing has been heard from the Egyptian government, and there are still no police on the streets, although, as we've also heard, a lot of people have been saying that this is in fact the police themselves in plain clothes. Reports of snipers on buildings, and you would hardly imagine that they are spontaneous demonstrators, snipers who have been firing into the square. So that's the situation at the moment. We are expecting that there will be a press conference with the new Egyptian Prime Minister sometime in the next few hours. So obviously we're very eager to hear what he might have to say. There will be another flight leaving today carrying Australians who have been stranded in Egypt. One left yesterday. Before it left, I went and caught up with some of them at the hotel that they met at.
Tired, relieved and glad to be going home.
First few days it was all, out in the riots, whatever else. We got tear gassed a couple of times. It was quite novel. But now it's just sort of horrible.
Janelle Buckley has been trying to get out of Egypt since she arrived on Friday night, and her taxi driver dropped her in the middle of the riots.
In a strange way, I'd have to thank the taxi driver because it was enough for me to realise that this was serious.
Sam Hirschfelder's day trip to the pyramids ended in a nightmare.
We just could not get back to our hotel. We got shot at by police because it was dark and they, obviously mistook us as protesters.
More than 200 stranded tourists registered for the flight to Frankfurt. There'll be another flight tomorrow. But many have complained at being unable to contact the Australian Embassy over the past few days or the Department of Foreign Affairs in Australia.
It's very difficult to reach people because the phone system, as you know, in Egypt has literally collapsed.
The prevailing feeling was one of relief, but not for everyone. Angie Ashry has been living in Cairo for 2 years with her Egyptian husband, Sharif. What's happened, Angie?
It's a no, they can't help us with the visa for my husband today, which is just really disappointing.
Angie Ashry decides not to go home alone, but to stay and try again for tomorrow's flight, while everyone else boards the bus for the airport. As they drove away, Cairo was about to explode. Ben Knight, ABC News, Cairo.
And Ben Knight is still with us from Cairo. Ben, you said earlier that today could be the day that this ends, but in fact more protests have been called for tomorrow, haven't they, to coincide with the Muslim holiday?
Yes, Ellen, I think that's probably why we're expecting something today. Last Friday was a turning point in this entire incident, in this entire event, because, as you say, it's Friday prayers. It's not just the main prayer day of the week, it's also the traditional time when people do come out of the mosques and gather to voice whatever dissent that they might have. We certainly saw that last Friday, and it is expected to happen here again tomorrow. And there is every expectation that the Egyptian government will do something to end this before that happens. But what we're also seeing is a remarkable spread of this dissent across the region. Of course, we know that this began in Tunisia, and Egypt is a major domino. I'm not saying it's going to fall, but it is hugely significant what's happening here. But there are also similar protests today in Yemen. We've seen similar protests in Jordan. We're expecting more tomorrow. And now even Syria, one of the most authoritarian states in the region, one of the most frightening states in the region, is going to itself experience some kind of anti-government demonstration. It is a very, very volatile time in this region, and it looks as though it's only going to get worse.
Ben Knight in Cairo, many thanks.